Hello, everyone. Tonight we are diving into a paradox that you might not even realize exists within you. The secret joy of being told what to do. Right now, you're probably lying in bed, tangled in a blanket, staring at a screen that's just a little too bright. You probably won't survive the full hour of this. And that's perfectly fine, because this is designed to be the most boring, sleep-inducing psychology you'll ever encounter. It's a journey into the hidden corners of your mind, a quiet whisper that guides you toward rest. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. Let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you. Now, turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise, and let's get started tonight. You just finished a long day, or maybe a long week, and your mind is a tangled mess of to-do lists, unfinished thoughts, and hypothetical arguments you'll never actually have. You're trying to figure out what to do next. Maybe read a book, maybe scroll for another hour, maybe just lie there and stare at the ceiling. It feels like a burden, doesn't it? All this freedom, all this choice. Then you click on a video like this, or you follow a recipe, or you simply get a clear instruction from a partner or a boss, and a strange calm settles over you. That's the first hint of our little secret, a profound, almost primal sense of relief that comes from relinquishing control, even for a moment. You probably never thought to ask yourself why you so willingly follow the rules of a video game, or the steps in an IKEA manual, but there's a deep psychological current at play. This isn't about being a submissive person. It's about the innate human desire for structure. Think about it. When you're lost in a new city and you finally find a map or a clear sign, that little surge of dopamine isn't just because you're found. It's because you no longer have to make a choice. The path has been laid out for you. Your brain, which is constantly burning energy on decision-making, gets a much-needed break. It's the same reason why a friend telling you, just get the pizza with pepperoni, trust me, can feel so much better than being told, order whatever you want. The universe of choices suddenly shrinks to a single, comforting point. We're so accustomed to celebrating our independence and our ability to choose that we rarely acknowledge the quiet exhaustion that comes with it. The constant internal dialogue of should I do this or that is a low-level, but persistent, form of stress. This relief is a form of cognitive offloading. Your brain is a brilliant but lazy computer. It's always looking for shortcuts. When you're presented with a clear command or a simple set of instructions, your brain doesn't have to work as hard. It can simply execute the program rather than write it. This is why following a workout routine from an instructor is often easier than designing one for yourself. It's why a meal kit with pre-portioned ingredients and a step-by-step guide is so popular. You're not just buying food, you're buying a break from decision fatigue. You're outsourcing your brain's most energy-intensive process to a third party. And there's a part of you, a deep, primal part, that absolutely loves this. Or you might even find yourself getting a little giddy about it. Yes, your subconscious whispers, someone else is in the driver's seat. I could just relax. This dynamic isn't just about avoiding a mental workout. It's about avoiding the potential for a bad outcome. If someone else makes the decision for you, the responsibility for its failure isn't entirely yours. You can always say, well, I was just doing what I was told. It's a built-in safety net, a little psychological airbag. Of course, you're still responsible for your own actions, but the burden of choice is a different kind of weight. It's the weight of potential regret. If you choose the wrong path, you have no one to blame but yourself. But if you follow instructions and it all goes wrong, you have a ready-made narrative. The directions were wrong. It's a subtle but powerful defense mechanism that we've been using since childhood. So, while the world celebrates the freedom of choice, let's take a moment to appreciate the quiet, understated luxury of being told exactly what to do. It's a gentle hand on your back, a soothing whisper in a chaotic world. It's the psychological equivalent of a good, old-fashioned, weighted blanket. And as you lie there, feeling the weight of your own choices, you can finally feel your shoulders drop just a little. That feeling of relief isn't weakness. It's a testament to your brain's incredibly efficient and secretly lazy operating system. The joy you feel when someone takes the reins isn't some quirky modern phenomenon. It's baked into your very DNA. We're talking ancient history here, going back to the very first tribes huddled around a fire, hoping a saber-toothed tiger wouldn't mistake them for a midnight snack. In those days, following instructions wasn't a choice. It was a matter of survival. The oldest, wisest hunter would say, "You go left, you go right, you stand here and don't make a sound." And you did it. No questions asked. Why? Because the person giving the orders had been there, done that, and had the scars to prove it. Their authority was a promise of safety. It was a shortcut to a good outcome, a way to outsource the risk assessment to someone with more experience. Your brain, in its evolutionary wisdom, developed a strong preference for this. The mental effort of figuring out the perfect ambush strategy was a lot more dangerous than just listening to the old guy. This is the origin of our instinct for obedience. It's not about being a sheep. It's about a deeply ingrained psychological reflex that says, if a group of people are all doing the same thing, there's probably a good reason for it. It's a cognitive heuristic, a mental rule of thumb that has kept our species alive for millennia. You see it everywhere. When a fire alarm goes off, you don't stop to question the building's maintenance history. You get out. When a doctor tells you to take a certain medication, you typically don't demand a full pharmacological breakdown of the compound. You just take it. This is because we've been conditioned to trust certain authority figures as repositories of knowledge and experience. Their words become a kind of intellectual currency that we accept without a second thought. But what about now? We're not dodging mammoths anymore. Our world is built on individual expression and critical thinking. You're encouraged to think for yourself and be a leader. And yet, that deep-seated instinct to follow remains. It shows up in subtle ways. Consider the power of a recommendation from a friend. When they say, "Oh, you have to watch this show," you're far more likely to do it than if you just stumbled upon it yourself. Their command, their certainty, is a comfort. It bypasses the agonizing scroll of endless streaming options. It saves you from the potential disappointment of picking a bad show and wasting 2 hours. It's a low-stakes example of the same ancient principle. Someone else's judgment is a reliable guide. This desire to be led is particularly pronounced when we feel overwhelmed or insecure. Think about a time you start a new job. The first few days are a chaotic mess of new faces, new processes, and new expectations. But then your supervisor gives you a clear list of tasks, a step-by-step guide on how to complete project. And suddenly, the chaos recedes. You have a purpose, a path. The anxiety of the unknown is replaced by the simple, satisfying rhythm of checking things off a list. That feeling, that sense of direction, is a huge part of why we love a good boss and hate a vague, hands-off one. A good leader doesn't just manage. They provide a psychological anchor in the storm of uncertainty. This isn't to say that we should always follow orders blindly. Obviously, that could be a dangerous path, but it is important to acknowledge the secret psychological pleasure we derive from it. It's a part of our wiring, a remnant of a time when the world was a much more dangerous place, and following the alpha's command was the best way to make it to the next sunrise. So the next time you find yourself happily following a set of instructions, or feeling a sense of relief when someone else makes a decision for you, don't judge yourself for it. You're just listening to the quiet, ancestral whispers of your own subconscious, reminding you that sometimes the safest path is the one that's already been paved. Think about your daily life. It's an endless stream of decisions. What to wear, what to eat, what to work on first, who to reply to. The modern world presents us with an overwhelming buffet of choices, and our brains are not equipped to handle the constant cognitive load. This is where authority figures, or even simple rules and guidelines, step in as mental shortcuts. They act as a form of predigested information, a way to navigate the complexity of the world without having to process every single data point yourself. When you hear the words, "Just follow the instructions," it's not a command, it's a gift. It's permission to turn off the critical thinking part of your brain for a little while and just do what you're told. Imagine you're standing in front of two identical doors. One is labeled exit, and the other is not. Which one do you take? The brain doesn't have to work hard here. The label provides a clear, trusted authority, the person who put the sign there. You're using a heuristic, a mental shortcut based on trust. You don't stop to consider if the sign is a lie, if the person who put it there was a prankster, or if you should go back and check the other doors. You just go. This is a simple, low-stakes example, But this same mental process plays out in much more complex situations. We trust a doctor's diagnosis, a teacher's lesson plan, a GPS's directions. These are all forms of authority that we rely on to avoid the painstaking and often impossible task of gathering and processing all the necessary information ourselves. The desire for this shortcut is often mistaken for laziness, but it's actually a brilliant form of efficiency. Your brain is saying, someone else has already done the heavy lifting here. Let's just use their work and conserve our energy for something else. It's the reason we rely on reviews from strangers when we buy a product, or why we follow social media influencers for fashion advice. We're outsourcing our judgment. Their expertise, or even just their popularity, becomes a form of authority we can lean on. It's a way of saying, show me the way, so I don't have to figure it all out myself. This extends to our personal lives, too. Consider the relief that comes from a friend telling you what to order at a restaurant when you're overwhelmed by the menu, or the simple comfort of your partner saying, don't worry, I'll take care of it. In that moment, they become the authority, the person with the plan, and you get to just exist. You get a rest. This is a profound and underrated form of intimacy and support. It's a way of showing love by taking a burden off someone else's plate, even if that burden is just deciding what to eat for dinner. It's a little like a mental sigh of relief. This is why some people find comfort in strict routines or highly structured environments. A strict boss, a demanding workout class, or even the rigid schedule of a religious practice can be deeply soothing. They provide a clear framework, a set of rules that eliminates the endless array of choices. You don't have to decide what to do next. The schedule tells you. You don't have to figure out how to exercise. The instructor tells you. It's not about being a robot. It's about a deeply human need for a little bit of order in the chaos. It's a little joke we play on ourselves, pretending we're in control when in reality, we're just happily following the breadcrumbs someone else left for us. Now let's talk about the delicious feeling of safety. The world, at its core, is an unpredictable place. A million things could go wrong at any moment, and your brain knows it. This constant low-level awareness of potential danger is a persistent hum of anxiety in the background. But when you're given a rule or a command, it creates a small, manageable universe of predictability. You follow the instruction, and you're rewarded with a sense of security. It's the psychological equivalent of pulling a warm, heavy blanket over your head when you hear a scary noise in the other room. The noise might still be there, but for a moment, you feel protected. Think about something as simple as a traffic light. When it turns red, you stop. You don't question the light's authority. Why? Because you trust in the system. You trust that everyone else will stop too. That red light, a simple command, creates an island of order in the chaotic sea of traffic. It promises you that for these few moments, you're safe. It's this same feeling that draws us to follow the rules of a game, even a silly board game. The rules create a predictable reality. They tell you exactly what you can and can't do, and in doing so, they eliminate the terror of the unknown. The game won't suddenly change its mind and decide you've lost for a reason you don't understand. It's a beautifully simple contract, and your brain adores it. This need for predictability is a core part of human psychology. We crave patterns. We find comfort in repetition. This is why routines are so soothing. Waking up at the same time, drinking the same coffee, walking the same route. Each of these acts is a small, quiet rebellion against the randomness of the universe. They are a way of saying, I know what's going to happen next. And following someone else's direction is the most effortless way to achieve this. You don't even have to plan the routine yourself. You can just do what you're told. It's like a warm hug for your brain. The instructions become a shield against the chaos of chance. This is why, in times of crisis or uncertainty, people often gravitate towards strong, decisive leaders. When the world feels like it's spinning out of control, a person who says, here's the plan, follow me, is incredibly appealing. They offer not just a path forward, but a return to order. They provide the illusion of safety, the feeling that someone is in control, even if they're not. This isn't about blind faith. It's about a deep psychological need for a sense of stability when our own internal compasses feel a bit wobbly. So, as you lie there, think about all the little ways you happily follow instructions throughout your day. You fill out a form exactly as it asks. You listen to a podcast host directions on where to find their sponsors. You follow a recipe from a cookbook. Each one of these moments is a tiny act of surrender, a release of control that provides a quiet sense of peace. It's a small but powerful way we find predictability and security in a world that often offers neither. The instruction is not a burden. It is a promise. A promise that for a little while, everything will be okay, as long as you just do what you're told. Let's take a deep breath and go back, way back, to the very beginning. We're not talking about evolution this time, but about you as a small, slightly wobbly human being. Think about the first few years of your life. You were completely and utterly dependent on others. Your parents, or whoever took care of you, were your entire world. They told you when to eat, when to sleep, when to take your nap. They dressed you, fed you, and held your hand as you learned to walk. This wasn't a choice. It was a biological necessity. You had no control, and yet there was a profound sense of security in that. Their directions weren't commands. They were acts of love and protection. Don't touch that, it's hot. Time for bed. Each of these statements, which we might now see as restrictive, was a promise of safety and care. This is the psychological blueprint for our secret love of being told what to do. It's a callback to that fundamental dependency of childhood, a time when a lack of control was synonymous with being looked after. When an authority figure, be it a parent, a teacher, a boss, or even a random video on the internet, gives you a clear instruction, it unconsciously taps into that deep-seated memory. It feels like a hug for your inner child. That little part of you that still feels vulnerable and lost in a big, confusing world says, "Oh, thank goodness. Someone is taking care of me." It's a release of responsibility, a chance to let go of the grown-up burden of having to be in charge all the time. This is particularly true for people who have grown up with a lot of pressure to be independent and self-reliant. The constant need to make their own way can be exhausting. So when they get an opportunity to simply follow a pre-written script, it feels like a holiday. It's a permission slip to stop being the one in charge. For a little while, you could just be the follower, the one who doesn't have to have all the answers. It's a quiet rebellion against the relentless modern pressure to be a self-starter or your own boss. Consider the joy of being a passenger on a long road trip. You're not worried about the route, the traffic, or the gas. You can just lean your head against the window, watch the world go by, and maybe even fall asleep. The driver, your temporary authority figure, is handling all the complex, stressful stuff. That's the feeling we're talking about. That's the feeling that our inner child longs for. It's the simple, uncomplicated peace of not having to lead. It's a joke, a little wink to yourself, because even though you're grown up with all your responsibilities, you still get a little thrill when you get to be told what to do. Let's zoom out from our personal little world and look at the sheer, mind-boggling scale of modern life. We are living in an era of unprecedented choice. Think about your last trip to a coffee shop. You're not just choosing between coffee or tea. You're deciding between a flat white, a macchiato, a cold brew, a nitro cold brew, and a dozen other variations, each with its own specific milk, syrup, and temperature. This is a microcosm of a larger problem: decision fatigue. Your brain has a finite amount of energy for making choices, and every little decision, from what to watch on Netflix to what route to take to work, chips away at that energy. This is a new kind of modern stress, a low-grade hum of anxiety that comes from an almost infinite number of possibilities. We're sold the idea that freedom is having endless options, but sometimes what we're really getting is a form of paralysis. This is why you might feel a peculiar sense of relief when you go to a friend's house and they just say, "Pizza it is." You don't have to scroll through a dozen different restaurant apps, compare ratings, and read 100 reviews. The choice has been made for you, and your brain gets a moment to rest. It's a small but significant act of kindness. This is also why so many people are drawn to subscription boxes and curated services. You pay a little extra to have someone else make the decisions for you. The food box tells you what to cook. The clothing service tells you what to wear. The streaming service recommends what to watch next. You're not just buying a product. You're buying back your mental energy. You're trading a little bit of money for a whole lot of peace of mind. And in a world where everyone is a brand manager for their own life, the ability to outsource a few of those decisions is a luxury. The paradox of modern life is that the more freedom we have, the more we crave a little bit of structure, We long for a clear-cut path in the forest of our choices. When a therapist gives you a clear exercise to do, when a teacher gives you a clear assignment, when a GPS tells you to turn right now, there's a quiet satisfaction in just doing it. It's an antidote to the endless scrolling and the constant internal debate. It's a way of saying, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. I'm too tired to figure out on my own. This is the hidden genius of simple rules. They are a tool for mental conservation. They allow you to save your decision-making energy for the big, important things like what to do with your life, and not waste it on the small stuff like which flavor of gum to buy. It's a form of psychological tidiness. You're putting your brain's messy closet of choices in order, and it feels incredibly good. The joke's on us, really, because we're secretly paying for the right to be told what to do. So, you're finally here. You've navigated through the history, the psychology, the overwhelming modern reality, and the gentle whispers of your inner child. We've come to the final, most profound piece of the puzzle, the sweet release that comes from surrendering. It's a bit like finally putting down a heavy bag you've been carrying for miles. That moment when the weight is gone isn't just a physical relief, it's a mental and emotional one. This is the ultimate payoff for our secret love of being told what to do. It's the peace that comes from letting go. You stop being the pilot, and you simply become the passenger, and there's a quiet majesty in that. Think about the last time you were truly lost in a task. Maybe it was painting a wall, solving a complex puzzle, or following a yoga instructor's every command. In those moments, you weren't thinking about dinner, or your bills, or what you said to your coworker yesterday. You were just present, fully engaged in the simple act of doing. That state of flow is a form of surrender. You let the activity guide you. You hand over the reins, and in that moment, the relentless chatter of your own mind quiets down. This is the same principle at play here. By following a simple instruction, you give your brain permission to stop generating its own internal noise. You silence the mental to-do list, the what-if scenarios, and the burden of all those choices. This is a form of active meditation. It's not about sitting on a cushion and clearing your mind. It's about finding a task or a guide that is so compelling and clear that your mind clears itself. It's the peaceful hum of a good ASMR video, where the sound itself is a clear instruction. Just listen. It's the quiet joy of a long, predictable train ride. The tracks have been laid, the destination is set, and all you have to do is sit back and let the world pass by. This brings us back to where we started, in your bed, listening to this. My voice, and the simple structure of this script, is designed to be a gentle command. My words are a guide, a slow and predictable path for your mind to follow. I'm telling you what to think about, what to notice, and what to feel. You're not being asked to solve anything or to make a choice. You are simply being asked to listen, to follow. And in that following, in that quiet surrender, is the path to rest. The burden of being the hero of your own story, of always being in control, can be exhausting. But for a little while, you could just be the listener, the follower, the one who is being taken care of. And in that moment, in that final, sweet release, you can finally, completely, let go. The world is a noisy place, and your mind could be even louder. We've spent our lives being told that freedom is the greatest good, but we often forget the quiet exhaustion that comes with it. Tonight, we explored the secret comfort we find in being told what to do, from the ancient survival instincts of our ancestors to the overwhelming decision fatigue of modern life. We saw how relinquishing control, even for a moment, can feel like a profound act of peace, a return to the simple security of childhood. So, as you drift towards sleep, remember that it's okay to let go of the reins. Allow your mind to follow a simple path, to find rest in the quiet certainty of structure. The journey is over, the destination is here, and you can finally, softly, surrender. Good night.